going to have a public hearing regarding the city's 2021 tax budget. So I'd like to declare that meeting open. Bill, Mayor, any comments?
No, we're taking our second reading on tonight. It's a clone of last year. It's just a requirement for us to have a public hearing for the county to get it submitted. So I don't know, Bob, if you have anything else to add or no.
Judy, you had a question.
Just two minor changes in it from the 19 budget to the 20 budget to the 21 budget, but nothing major at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I just had one thing on the front page under section 1, the second line. It's supposed to adopt the tax budget proposed for 2021. It says 2020. Should it be 2021?
Yes.
So it's just a typo on the front page.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We should make a motion to correct that before we're done here, if there's any other corrections.
I'm going to confirm that with Scott too. Because I know it has to be submitted by July. So I just want to make sure the county, if it's just I'll confirm that before we vote on it tonight.
Okay. Anything else on the tax budget?
Anyone online? Anyone online with questions, Bill?
No.
Can we see the budget?
Yes, I guess. Do you have any copies out there? Melanie?
I do not have copies of it.
I'll have to say that just for you guys, I mean, we really aren't open for the public yet. That's why we're live streaming on YouTube. But when you guys got here and you're socially distanced, we weren't going to run you out. But we were going to actually discuss tonight as to when we were going to get back to having audience members here tonight. But that's why we don't have any. We didn't have copies of anything out there. Everything, anybody that requests it can have it. It was available online, so we can get that too. That's why we don't have anything tonight.
Any other questions or comments regarding the tax budget for 2021? Okay, then I declare this public hearing closed. We're going to move on right away to the council meeting. So if you'll please stand for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. This little prayer is called Celebrating Diversity. Almighty God, through your Holy Spirit, you created unity in the midst of diversity. We acknowledge that human diversity is an expression of your manifold love for your creation. We confess that in our brokenness as human beings, we turn diversity into a source of alienation, injustice, opposition, and wounding. Empower us to recognize and celebrate differences as a great gift to the human family. Enable us to be the architects of understanding, of respect, and love. Through the Lord, the ground of all unity, we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, welcome everyone once again to the June 16th meeting. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Linda?
Here.
Mrs. Moody?
Here.
Mr. Parson?
Here.
Ms. Peterson?
Here.
Mr. Redding?
Here.
Mrs. Dosa?
Here.
Mr. George?
Here.
Okay, everyone is present and accounted for. Minutes. You have the minutes before you for the May 19th meeting. Does anybody have any corrections that need to be made to these minutes before we accept those?
It's kind of two little questions. Under the city manager's report, Mayor's Court has been doing teleconference court. Mr. Temming is pleased with how the turnout. So is Mr. Temming pleased with how the turnout was working, or is just pleased with the turnout?
Well, that would, it's not really a turnout, it's a teleconference on everything. So I think probably the better terminology would be
How the teleconferencing is working?
Yeah, how many people they can, I think they're getting about 40 to 50% of people that are calling in. You know, on a given night, we probably have that or less that actually show up. So teleconferencing is working okay at this point.
Okay, how the teleconference is working.
Okay.
Okay, and then the next, two paragraphs down from there. The pool, we have to decide if we will have the July 4th fireworks. Should we say the July 3rd?
We have, what does it say?
July
July
4th
4th
It
fireworks?
says we've decided?
No, no, no. It's just saying we're going to decide.
Oh, okay.
But, no. So should it just say July 3rd as
3rd.
opposed to?
Should be the 3rd.
Right,
Yes,
yeah.
correct.
Okay. That's all.
Anybody else have anything?
I make a motion to adopt as corrected.
Okay, Mr. Parsons has made a motion to adopt as corrected. Do I have a second? Mr. Redding? All those in favor of accepting the minutes as corrected, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Correspondence. You had a few things in your packet and on your desk, one from the Board of Elections, one from the chief regarding a protest march that is being planned through Mount Healthy and North College Hill. Other than that, we'll discuss those, I'm sure. I have no other correspondence. No guests and special events. Okay, time for public input to the council. Anybody would like to address council? If you're online, what's the correct term I'm looking for?
It's delayed, so just give it a minute.
Yeah.
There are some people out there commenting. I mean, they're not there. I know that there's people out there. There's no specific questions at this time.
Yeah, anybody here, since you're here, we might as well allow you to address council if you wish to, any specific questions. Well, if anybody comes in, we'll
Okay.
back up to them. Committee reports, business partnership and the alliance, Ms. Peterson.
Okay, there was a business association meeting, Zoom meeting yesterday. Just had a few members attend, so there really wasn't any discussion. Everybody just kind of talked about what was going on. There really wasn't any business discussed, so they will have another meeting next month. As far as the alliance, it's kind of interesting. In May, they served 261 families. Normally, they've got like 400 families. And they're saying they're having a decrease in people coming. And they're just trying to figure out, probably because of people are afraid to come out, don't want to come out, leave home. They might be getting things from other services because there's more people out there providing food for people. So they're hoping, they just want everybody to know that they're still there to serve the public, so. And that's it.
Okay, thank you. Beautification, Jenny?
On our report, we just got people volunteering to water plants, and if anybody would like to take a day or so, I'm sure I can find you some pots to water. So, that's it.
I'll do it again, Jenny. Let me know where.
Yep, you can share with Denise at CVS, okay?
Okay.
I know Bob's watering Four Corners, so if anybody wants to help Bob out sometimes, that'd be fine. I do Heritage Park. I live right next door, so it's fine.
Okay, second. Finance, Mr. Parsons.
Mr. Coker is tracking the income tax receipts by month from both our income tax and our JED Z. We are seeing a downward trend, of course. Some of that could be that tax due dates have been delayed till July, so we hope that June and July and August will increase, but we are keeping an eye on those. I reviewed the revenues in the packet for them through the month of May. Just a couple things to note. The gas tax that the increased gas tax that we were receiving is starting to fall off a little bit. I think it's not because the tax is flat for us, but I guess people are not traveling as much, so they're not buying as much gas. The other thing I noticed was property taxes that we're receiving are well above what we had budgeted. So that is a good sign to offset some of the income tax problems that we may see. We'll probably have a meeting of the Finance Committee later in the summer to review the, maybe in August, to review the July statements. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons. Parks, Denise Lingo.
I don't have a report, and Bill will discuss the events in the parks in his report.
Streets and Safety, Mr. Redding.
Yeah, not an official report per se, but just, Bill, there's some construction going on the west side of Compton Road, or west of Hamilton Avenue, I should say. Do we know when that's going to wrap up, or it's getting close to wrapping up?
Yeah, it's getting close. They're doing restoration.
Okay. Okay, are they going to do any curb work, do you know?
This is just a water line project.
Just the water lines?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so just everybody pay close attention when you're going through that area.
Yeah, I was just going to bring this up under new business. How come they're doing the whole street up until our
Yeah.
municipal line, and then we just get a patch job?
Well, that street, that road is, before you start this, it's a bit of a negotiation based on the condition of the road. I've fought for years to try to, to get bigger, not just the trench line, but really it's going to come down to the condition of the road. That road was only done maybe a year and a half ago. It was brand new.
So they grind and
Yeah.
overlaid
So
because of that.
So if they were, like, say something, we don't have to worry about Perry because we had that, it's a water line, right? So we had that done beforehand. But if Perry were to get something like that, we would be able to say, no, this is a brand-new street.
Okay.
You've got to grind it.
Because it's
curb
so
to curb.
obvious, it's grind and overlay, you're going to have a nice new road, and then you hit the city line, and it's like, okay, now we have a patch job, which is just,
Yeah, if it was the other side of Compton. I don't want to be critical of I don't know the timing there, but we are very, 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 very diligent in making sure that we get everything that's under there coordinated with the project so they don't have to come back. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen. They're on Maple now. That's not that old of a street that they had to go in and do. MSD had to come in and do a couple repairs. But yeah, no, I drove it today, and I didn't know if they were just going to do the one side where the main trench line is, but they were doing both sides.
yeah, they were doing the whole road, yeah. Okay.
Yep, so, and then, I hope everybody had a chance to look at the chief's report. Good news, bad news is, the good news side is, we had a part-time police officer save a young lady's life. And I'm assuming that happened at the retention pond. So, very good news there, nice job by our police department. And, bad news is, and Bill, I'm bringing this up because I was wondering if we could take a shot with the incident happening down there and the I'll call it a fight in the parking lot. Are we able to amend our complaint with them to the state liquor board, or?
Well, I have a book in my office about this thick, prepared to challenge their renewal. However, nothing's happening right now.
Okay.
No courts are in session. Everything's postponed with COVID.
Okay.
So we're just waiting for that to restart, and that's our main focus there, is to challenge the liquor license. I think even if you saw in that report, I think some of the stuff, some of the things were dropped. The violation of the stay-at-home order, but yeah, that's kind of out of our hands once it's cited.
Yeah. So, I did see that. I was just wondering if that process, if we had sent all of our testimony in yet, or,
There's nowhere to send it. They're not even, you know.
I didn't know if we had to do a mail-in.
No, we got it. We've told them we're going to challenge it, but then they'll notify us when we're going to, you know, when things start back up.
Okay.
But we've done all of our due diligence and have a
Okay.
very
So-
happy
so-
book on it.
Okay, because I thought there was like a two-step process besides going up there and personally testifying. I thought there was, you had to submit something in writing or something, so, okay, good to know. And then, I guess also be aware, I think everybody got a note on their desk about a protest that's going to take place on June 19th that is going to go south on Hamilton from Springfield Township into North College Hill. So just be aware of June 19th, from 4:30 to 6:30 PM. Or were you going to bring that up?
That's
Okay.
all right. I put it on your desk, but it's all good.
Yep. So, and then I was wondering, we have not had a BZA meeting for any of the open issues at this time.
We have not. That's part of what we're going to discuss tonight of
Right.
our plan of reopening and when we're going to start to try to get towards having public meetings and so forth. So
Okay,
that was in the email that was sent out. I think hopefully everybody got. Yeah.
that is all I had.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Schools, probably not much going on there, but Mr. George.
One thing to mention, the Mount Healthy City School District will be having they've been having a summer food service program, and it's going from June 1st to July 27th, so just about all summer. Children ages 2 to 18 can pick up 5 days worth of breakfast and lunch meals. The children must be present to receive the meal, and the pickup locations are North Elementary and South Elementary. The times are from 11:30 to 12 p.m. noon, and that is all I have.
Thank you, Mr. George. The library, Ms. Dosa.
Nothing new to report.
Okay. Urban Tree, Ms. Lingo.
No report.
We Thrive, Jenny.
We've had some Zoom meetings, and have some new people that have joined our Zoom meetings, and we've talked about some concerns of how childcare will be going because of the COVID, and food availability, which there is more food being available for people through the Love Pantry, and the minister and his wife have been part of our Zoom meeting, and through Tikkun Farm, which I'm sure you got to see the article in the Enquirer on Sunday. It was a wonderful, big, extensive article on the farm and all that they've been doing. So it was wonderful. And the next We Thrive meeting will be a Zoom meeting, but we'll be looking at, what do we call that again, Jamie? I lost that track of what we call that. We look at what we do is we reevaluate our connections in our community as to where we can reach out and, partner. It's something we do every so many years.
Change tool.
That's it, the change tool. I knew it had a specific word, it just didn't hit my mind right now. Anything else, Mayor, do you see?
No, I just would like to add, I'm amazed at the way the community stepped up with food. And, if
Yeah.
you just hear that the Alliance has had a drop between the school district giving out food every Monday. They give out 10 meals to every kid every Monday. Tikkun, Emmanuel Temple, and then Trinity.
And then we have the community meal, they do
Unbelievable.
the bag, they do a carryout, but they are also sharing, they get the vegetables and fresh fruit, and they take it from pantry to pantry, and they're working so well together that a lot of the ministers or people in the pantry now have a group that they've been through We Thrive, and I guess they're gonna be looking to meeting on a regular basis as to what things they can provide in the community. So it's really
It's an amazing collaboration.
amazing, yeah.
I also, lost my train of thought.
Good, you're younger than me. I thought it was just me.
No, it's me too.
Anyway, those are connections we didn't have before,
Right.
especially with the manual temple being added to this.
Yeah,
It's terrific.
oh, yeah.
I've been very, very impressed with the way people have stepped up, so. I know I was gonna add the farmer's market.
Oh, yeah.
Want to say about EBT and all that? I think that's big.
Well, go ahead. You start. I'm glad you brought that up. 'cause
Jenny and I are both
We had
on
the
We
first
Thrive.
farmer's market. Yeah.
So we
Go
had,
ahead, shoot.
Fibonacci had their first farmer's market of the year, and through the We Thrive dollars that we have raised, We Thrive has actually funded the farmer's market to be able to get a food stamp machine to use EBT cards. And we're also part of the Produce Perks program, where you get twice the dollar value in fresh produce. It's a way for those who need assistance to actually get good, healthy food. So if you spend $5, you actually get $10 worth of food if you're using the SNAP EBT benefits. And that was something that came out of We Thrive.
Yes,
So
it
we're
was.
really looking at a bunch of alternate ways to get healthy food to people. It's been great. The first farmer's market was a little slower than last year, which is to be expected during the shutdown, but the vendors were happy. So they'll be back again. She had 20 vendors this year, and it chopped down to 12, and 11 showed up at the first one, but that's still an increase of last year, so it's a success.
And when the produce starts coming in the region,
Yes.
hopefully then we'll see more people selling their produce,
For sure.
more availability. Okay, guess that's it.
Okay, thank you, Jenny. And we'll move on to the mayor's report. Mr. Wolf.
Thank you. I do just want to thank Jenny for being on We Thrive. Having council member and mayor together on it is very helpful. So we can bring both points of view on it. I also, last month I talked about the Cincinnati USA Regional Chamber, how I was on a Zoom call with other mayors and trustees. There's going to be another one this Friday. And so talking about restarting the economy and aid that's available. I know Bill and I have shared information with the Business Association of some of the aid that was available to them from Hamilton County. And these networks are really the way that we get that information. So I'm going to be back on that Zoom call. They're having another one on Friday. I'm also a little more optimistic than I was when I gave the update last month. I was told that the capital bill was not going to happen at all this year. There has been some movement. On June 12th, the House actually passed a budget for it. They cut it drastically, but they were restoring, I think it was $555 million. I may be a little off there, but it was close to that, for projects regarding like sewer lines, water lines, and roads. I'm not sure how that will affect our project yet, but in a month, we went from hearing there'd be no capital bill approved to now it looks like there is going to be that version taken to the Senate, and the Senate is looking to approve some version of a capital bill. I'm going to keep pressuring to fix roads. I mean, that's a way to restart the economy right now, is through infrastructure, and we all desperately need it. So I'm hoping, especially as someone that lives on one of those streets, I'm a little optimistic, but I'm not getting too excited yet. But last month, I heard zero money was going to be allocated. Now we're at the point where there could be over $500 million. So if that gets approved, we're already on the approved list. That's what makes it nice. Our project's approved. We're just waiting for that funding to be approved. So let's hope we're part of that package, not just us, but everybody with part of that Ohio Public Works funding. I also put a letter on your desks. This is a rough draft. I've read it over a few times, but whenever I read my own stuff, I always miss stuff. So please, please, please go over with fine-tooth comb, find typos, grammatical errors, if you think I should rephrase something, if I missed something, if I need to take something out, please, please let me know. If by the end of the week would be really great, if you have time by then, or at least by the weekend, because I'd like to talk to Express Graphics on Monday to get it out. My plan is this is about, I don't know if I mentioned it, anyway, this is about the fire levy that'll be on in August. honestly, this is kind of a Frankenstein letter. I really took a lot of the letters and things we've written over the past couple years and picked out the important stuff and put it together, and then added a few things. So this kind of goes through a little bit of the history, talks about why we need it. It talks about just a little bit about how we attempted with the fire district and how that failed, and then how we had a public hearing. Just want to really lay everything out to make sure that some of these things I've been reading online about us trying to sneak it in or not, looking at all the options, et cetera, that all those questions are answered in here. As you can see, it's pretty long. I typically think shorter is better when communicating with the public, but in this case, I think everything needs to be laid out. So it's all in there, or at least I hope. Fix anything or tell me to add stuff. I did put a chart in there that shows what the increase would be for residents. I also explained why we're putting it on the August ballot. To be honest, that paragraph was my hardest to phrase. So if you can think of a smoother way to say it, explaining the whole funding is the next calendar year and, having months to prepare and all that was difficult for me. That was probably the hardest part of it. And then I included links to the video that just went live today on ICRC. I included a link to our live stream so that people can ask questions at next month's meeting. And I'll talk to you, Bill. I should probably have my laptop with me so that I could do that.
Yeah, okay. Oh, you mean?
Answer questions with public input.
Sure.
So we'll make sure that, Bill's not gonna be here at the next meeting, sorry. We'll make sure that somebody's able to answer public input questions live. And then I put our
It's a
emails on
challenge,
there.
answering, texting. I'm not texting my kids or anything like that. I'm trying to talk to Scott and do this, so it will be a challenge, but we'll get through it.
We'll do it.
Yep.
And then I put the emails for the fire chief, for Bob, for Bill, and for myself on there, encouraging people to ask questions. This is not this should be informative. So if you think that it sounds campaigny and not informative, please let me know, because I need to correct that before I send it out. I have thick skin when it comes to this stuff, so please pick it apart. I'd rather you all catch stuff than me send it out and hear it on Nextdoor. Yeah, so, anyway, I want to get that out very quickly. We're 7 weeks away, I believe, from the election. So to get it out with people to look at for more than a month, it's very important to keep that discussion going. Bill and I have also discussed, and we'll have to discuss this as a group further, the possibility of having a forum maybe on the park stage. I think that's a really safe way for people to socially distance, right? Just like we have movies. We have microphones, we have a speaker system, and we could have one set up where people ask questions and we could answer the questions in person. I thought about doing a Zoom forum. That's a little more challenging. I'm more than willing to do that as well. I do like the idea of an in-person one. So we are going to look at being creative with that. The fire chief wants to go door to door. We don't know. And I agree, that's the best way to reach people and talk to people, but we obviously have concerns on whether we should be going door to door right now. So any feedback on that will be appreciated as well as we move forward. And then lastly, the school district did hire the new superintendent. Dr. Cosby went to Trotwood, and I'm happy with the hire. They hired Dr. Valerie Hawkins from Princeton. I've heard many good things about her. I have not met her yet. She's only been on the job for, 2 weeks, I think. And obviously during the shutdown, it's hard to get with people face to face, but I'm optimistic, and I think she was a good choice. So I look forward to hearing more from her as the weeks go on and we get closer to the school year. There is not a plan yet for how the schools are going to restart. And I do believe that was out of respect for the new superintendent. I don't think it's anybody being secretive or them not being prepared. I do believe it has more to do with the fact that they were looking at options and they wanted the new superintendent to be on board and have the opportunity to discuss them before it was announced. So I do, if anyone's waiting for that and frustrated, I would expect that soon. I do think that makes sense not to announce it and then put a superintendent in a situation that you might not agree with. So I think it's good that they've waited for that. And that is it for my report. Quite a bit tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
No problem. Thank you.
Questions? Questions for the mayor? Okay, we'll move on then to the city manager's report. Mr. Bill Coker.
Thanks. I think the email that I sent out that talks about kind of moving forward, maybe we'll just do that under new business, so we can just kind of have an open back and forth with that. And will just, for the folks that are here, I hope you didn't feel like we weren't very welcoming. It was kind of a surprise, and we just haven't figured it out yet. And I would encourage you to check back before you come next time to see what we're going to do, because we want to be consistent, I think, is what we'll probably talk about, because we have BZA hearings that are being requested and different things, and we just kind of want to get a game plan together as how we're going to move forward with it. But you guys were in here and you're separated, and it was good, and we'll go forward tonight. But just check in with us next time to see where we're at, because we still may do the live stream for at least for a few more months, based on some of the input we got. But anyway, we'll talk more about that under the new business piece of it. A couple things. The old Rex Ralph site, the school is moving forward with their plan to build a early childhood center. They've engaged us and talked about traffic studies. And our traffic engineers have given them recommendations, and they're moving forward with that. It's been a challenge for them to get together with Gordon, but I think they're ready to go, and there'll be some plan review on that. I don't have a lot of detail on it. It looks like a good building. I know it's a big need in the school district. If they can get the kids in at an early age and help with that, versus it'd be more of than just daycare. It'll be a learning childhood development situation. I think it'll be great. So just kind of more to come on that. Received some good news. We believe, I haven't officially received it yet. Seems the news media can get information quicker than we can sometimes, which is good. That's their job, right? It looks like we're going to get a COPS grant for $250,000 for the city. Part of the grant was the grant is to hire two full-time officers, and it'll be phased down after each year. You'll get less, but the maximum amount you could get was $250,000. We could bring in some of our part-timers. We will test for that. Our test has expired. So we're excited. In the grant, some of the focus we had was the schools, because it was a challenge for us last year. So not saying right away that we're going to put an SRO in there, but it could be helpful. Probably want to talk to the superintendent once she's on board. And then also it was violence against women directive to try to focus on those as well. So those were the two primary focuses. But we're grateful and we're happy to take that money. So yes.
Mr. Coker, when does that money start?
At next year.
In 21, okay.
I think we have to have them, but we have to have them on board. I think our plan right now is to do because we're trying to weigh it out. We want to get as many people in for the test. We don't want to have less concerns for people with all the COVID things going on, but probably give the test in September and start the hiring process so it coincides right at the first of the year. As Joe mentioned, just a quick letter. I don't even. I mean, the information we've gotten back is it's just a march. It's not even. It's an awareness kind of thing. We wanted to really notify the businesses just so they weren't taken off guard. We don't think it's going to be real big, but we're preparing, and everybody has the right to do this. So. Hopefully it's a good march for the folks, and there's no issues. So, but again, that was emailed to Kim today for her to share with the Business Association. Joe?
Yeah, just the biggest part of this is the march is going to take place on the sidewalks, but it can be busy up there at that time with people, picking up food and stuff like that on a Friday evening. So just be aware and be, be careful, don't, watch your right-hand and left-hand turns.
We're hoping it's, I mean, it's starting at 3:30. They're meeting at
4:30.
3:30 and starting at 4. So hopefully, and they're marching all the way through North College Hill down
Yeah.
Galbraith. They're gonna be tired, but
Yeah.
all the way
Yes.
to Colerain and then back up. So hopefully,
Yeah.
to your point though, Joe, hopefully by dinner and things like that for the restaurants up there, it'll be on out of Mount Healthy. But we're
Yep, wherever you go.
we're trying to prepare it. Yeah.
Yep,
So
in that area, so just be aware.
yes.
Who's the organizer?
Well, it's been kind of hard to determine. We do believe that we think it's a student that went to CHCA, and we spoke to her and her parents, and they're planning on a peaceful kind of a thing. So, but it wasn't. We were just trying to get an understanding and just have a communication kind of. You in the street, sidewalks. They're telling us the sidewalk, and it's just going to be a march.
CHCA, is that Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy?
I believe so.
Well, the principal was with us on Sunday,
Oh, really?
and his family.
Yeah. I mean, they may not even.
Dean, that's
um,
interesting. That's-
So we have a lot of good connections with Cincinnati, and it's not real high on their radar, actually, at all. We're the ones that made aware of them. The Friday is a big day, the Juneteenth. There's a lot of things that are going on. So it may be, like they said, 40, 70, could be less. So one of the things that as we figure out how to reopen, there's going to be 2 of the BZA hearings. And it's really good timing, I think, for our new law director to get involved and probably meet with the BZA because we're back to discussing the move forward of the trailer parks down there. And really, it's not really a discussion. I mean, they have the right to appeal our zoning code. The appeal goes to the BZA, and the BZA hears it. If we believe if the administration is telling them, no, you can't replace a trailer, that's our position. No, once a trailer is destroyed behind more than 50%, it can't be replaced. If they want to challenge that, they challenge it to the BZA. If they don't like the BZA ruling, it doesn't come to council like in Planning Commission. In Planning Commission, the process is really the Planning Commission is given a recommendation for council, and then council actually approves their or disapproves their recommendation. Is that right? Disapprove, but yeah. So BZA, we don't get a lot of them, and I don't know how this is going to go, but that's the gist of it. There was Hazelhurst on the one side. We were made aware that they moved in 6 new trailers, and then like I had mentioned before, I think in meetings, there is new ownership. It's not the ownership that we originally discussed about a year ago. Another person came in and bought that. He's been very cooperative. He's actually come to a couple meetings over the winter, and he's looking to do the same thing. And he's kind of, hey, what's going on over here? So it's kind of like, well, we've cited them. If they're going to appeal it, they're going to go to the BZA. So once you see that process, then you can kind of make your determination on how you want to move forward. So it's just something that's going to be coming and probably coming right out of the gates once we start, because we still aren't having Planning Commission or BZA hearings. So just kind of wanted to keep council informed on that. And as anything develops more, I'll share it with you as we go through it. But again, we don't want to try to influence it. I mean, we had some good discussions that night, that just general discussions of, we're at a crossroads, right? Where does this thing go? Does it go down a path of improvement and upgrades of what's there, or do we still keep it, tightly monitored and say, no, we want this thing to die a slow death, so that eventually, because the zoning doesn't allow that to come back in. Ideally, I think for this to work, the way it was put together would be that, if something happened, like a storm or something came through, and the majority of it was destroyed, obviously no injuries or anything like that, but if it was destroyed, then they couldn't build it back. But the way it's going, this has been well on the books for many, many years, and it's just slowly, there's, a few trailers are being, destroyed, burned, or whatever, but wouldn't be replaced. They're wanting to upgrade them. We're telling them the zoning code right now doesn't allow that, so we'll just kind of see where it goes.
I'm sorry, can you tell me what BZA is?
Board of Zoning Appeals. It's a 5-member panel appointed by the mayor either residents or business owners in the city. The traffic lights project is now scheduled to start in September. They did have a Zoom pre-construction meeting. The funding's there, which is the good thing, and that's when they're looking to ramp that up. It's got to be done by June 2021, but hopefully we'll start seeing some activity on the 20th, or in September of this year. The Family Dollar is looking to build on the old McDonald's site in front of the a hilltop, and really it's just a matter of them meeting. There's no zoning issues or anything like that, which we had with the last time this came through. So really it's just meeting the building requirements, and it will be something that we'll see. It's a grass lot right now, so, and there is a Family Dollar in. Obviously, they would move out of the shopping center and into there. So I did finally see a preliminary email that, or more than preliminary email, just kind of, they're wanting to start to move forward with Gordon, so I just wanted that to bring that up to everybody. And then the last thing is the election document. That was for November, but it also is the plan for August, that they are planning on having in-person elections, both at the August and November, with just meeting the social distancing requirements and so forth. So that's the plan as of today. And again, we can just, we'll pick back up with the kind of reopening thing under new business and go from there.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Any questions?
I think we talked earlier that the Board of Elections wanted us to find a larger place besides a community room for the November election, didn't they?
I don't recall that.
Oh, okay.
But hey, I'm forgetting stuff these days, Bob, so I don't know. No, I don't. I think they wanted to make sure that they had enough space in the area to get the voting booths spread out and they must have, because they're contacting us and giving us information about the community center.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? Okay. Going to move on then to our ordinances and resolutions. Legislation. We have a second reading on a resolution, resolution number 20-1145, a resolution adopting a tax budget for 2021. Did you find anything out about that 2020, 2021?
Yes, I did. And yes, that first sentence is to say 2021, because it says it in the title, obviously.
Right.
So, and then the first sentence, the first is the 2020. It should be changed to 2021, proposed for 2021.
Okay. Questions or comments, council? Resolution number 20-1145.
I have a comment. This is not the city's official 2021 tax budget.
It's just the revenue.
This is something we're required to send to the county to show them that we need the property tax money that they owe us. So we use the prior year's, the 2020 budget for 2021, a couple of minor changes, but nothing major, and send that in. The official budget will be prepared and adopted November, December this year.
Questions or comments, council? Anything else? We had the first reading last month, May 19th. Ms. Lingo.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 20-1145.
Okay, Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adopt resolution number 20-1145. Mr.
Second.
Redding has seconded. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Joseph?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, resolution 20-1145 2020-1145 is adopted.
Got one other thing I just happened to notice on the names.
Mr.
Jeannie
George is out of.
Jeannie George
George?
is on there.
Where?
Oh, it is.
Cordell, you're a girl tonight. You're your mother tonight.
Mother.
Yeah, can you just correct that, I think?
Yeah, because I read the right name,
Yeah,
so.
right.
I didn't even see that.
Okay. Let's see.
Mr. Bittner, just a quick point of clarification, not so much on this ordinance, but we do have to file in July the revenues, correct? With Hamilton County?
What this is.
That's what, okay. That's what I thought, and then I heard Bob say we have to do this to get our funds. We're showing a hardship to get our
Oh, no,
county
you're thinking
funds.
that, we do that ordinance at the beginning of the year that allows us to request from them
Yes.
our tax
That's what was-
early. That's not it,
Yeah.
but this just shows that we need to continue to get the taxes that they collect. That's part of what.
Continued, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yep, I'm good.
Okay. First reading of an ordinance. An ordinance assessing cost of the removal of high grass and weeds and declaring an emergency. It's ordinance number 20-1911.
I make a motion to waive the, suspend the two reading rule.
Mr. Parsons has made a motion to suspend.
I'll second.
Mr. Redding has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Okay, by a 7-0 vote, this two reading rule's been suspended. Any other questions or comments before we move on? Mayor?
I do just want to point out 7801 Elizabeth is the house that we actually approved for demolition of the garage and then rescinded it because we had some
Right.
good
Fixed it.
residents come up and volunteer to do the work. And I remember when that work was done, I think it was Bob, somebody asked a question if there were still the weeds and grass. Well, yes. So that's
There we
what
go.
this is being assessed right now.
Wow, $645 on Harrison Avenue. Okay. Questions or comments, council? Let's see, we had a two reading rule suspended on this one?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. Going for the,
I'll make a motion to adopt.
I'll second.
201911.
Ms. Peterson has made a motion to adopt. Mr.
No.
Cordell George has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo?
Aye.
Mrs. Moody?
Aye.
Mr. Parsons?
Aye.
Ms. Peterson?
Aye.
Mr. Redding?
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa?
Aye.
Mr. George?
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, ordinance 20-1911 is adopted. Resolution. This is resolution number 20-1146. A resolution affirming that funds from the county coronavirus relief distribution fund may be expended only to cover cost of the subdivision consistent with the requirements of Section 5001 of the CARES Act as described in 42 USC 601D and any applicable regulation before receiving said funds and declaring an emergency. Did anybody understand that?
I was gonna ask you if you read it before you came in, Ron.
I read it too. It's like, I'll wait for explanation.
This was that came out last week from the, I think it was the Ohio Municipal League, of just getting ourselves in a position to get funds reimbursed. And I'll be honest, luckily, the impact for us hasn't been huge yet. I mean, a lot of the PPE we were able to get. We did purchase some things here. You know, we did expend a little bit more on the police and fire when it started up. So hopefully those things will qualify once this all sorts out. This is really just us saying, hey, we're
We're getting in line.
get in line.
Yep.
Okay, any questions?
Is there any deadline on this?
It says declaring an emergency
Yeah.
on it.
I mean, I think,
Well, an emergency
mean-
doesn't that.
I know.
I mean, how
just-
fast the
I'm
state
just-
moves, but yeah, you could probably take 2 readings, but if you know, I mean, really this isn't requesting funds, it's just really positioning, this has to be passed in order for us to even request it, so it's kind of like that thing we were talking about earlier, we're just getting in line, really,
Yeah.
so.
I make a motion to waive the 2 reading rule, since we're not going to meet till the 3rd Tuesday in July, potentially, so.
Okay, Mr. Redding has made a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule.
I'll second.
Mr. George has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody,
Aye.
Mr. Parsons,
Aye.
Ms. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa. Aye. Mr. George.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, the 2 reading rule has been suspended. Any other questions, comments? Do I have a motion to adopt?
Make a motion to adopt ordinance 20-1146, I'm sorry.
Mr. Redding, has made a motion to adopt.
That's a resolution.
Yes,
20-1146.
I'll second.
Mr. Parsons has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody.
Aye.
Mr. Parsons.
Aye.
Ms. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa. Aye. Mr. George.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, resolution number 20-1146 is adopted. We have one more resolution, it is number 20-1147. A resolution declaring it necessary for levying tax exceeding 10 mil limitation, certifying 12.9 mils for the fire protection and emergency service levy, questions to the Hamilton County Auditor. Once again, resolution number 20-1147. Questions or comments?
I can explain this. This is something that we do because if the levy, we've talked about this in our meetings earlier this year and so forth. One of the reasons why we put it on in August is to be able to, if it fails and we get input in, we're still able to put it on in November. However, you have to be ready to go the day after the election. So we have to get our ducks in a row now. So this isn't, we've already done this for the everything's on. The ballot language is completed for the August election and it's moving forward. This is actually for November. If it passes in August, we just don't, we just don't submit this to the Board of Elections. This actually isn't the piece that we submit. This is just asking it's a 2-step process, asking the auditor to certify the funds.
Yes.
And then at the next meeting, you'll have another ordinance that would allow us to put it on in November.
Yes, we've done this before.
Right.
So,
We waive it.
Yes, sir.
so does this need to be passed tonight?
Yep.
Or we screw up the timeline? Okay.
Right.
Okay.
It does, just because we have to go to get them, and then we'll pass a second, they'll get us a letter, and then that second letter will be attached to the one in July, and in theory, in July, you could take the first reading that night in July, and then, no, you couldn't, because we don't have a next meeting, you'd have to pass it again in order for it, because it has to go down on the Wednesday or Thursday after the election on the 4th, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr. George, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to waive the two reading rule on resolution number 20-1147.
Okay, Mr. George has made a motion to suspend the 2 reading rule.
I second it.
Ms. Dosa, seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody.
Aye.
Mr. Parsons.
Aye.
Ms. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa.
Aye.
Mr. George.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, resolution number 20-1147 has been suspended to 2 reading rule. Any other questions or comments on this before we ask for a motion? Okay, do I have a motion from anybody?
I make a motion to adopt resolution 20-1147.
Mr. Redding has made a motion to adopt.
I'll second that.
Mr. Parsons has seconded.
Mrs. Lingo,
Aye.
Mrs. Moody.
Aye.
Mr. Carson,
Aye.
Ms. Peterson,
Aye.
Mr. Redding,
Aye.
Mrs. Dosa,
Aye.
Mr. Jordan.
Aye.
Okay, by a vote of 7-0, resolution number 20-1147 is adopted. That is all of our legislation. So we move on then to old business. Anybody have any old business to bring up?
Oh, I do, sorry. I think the last meeting, we talked about our frustration with Compton Groves, or Clover Nook Apartments, sorry. I had some emails going, and we got a really quick response. I just went back to like the last email I had and replied to everybody, and there was probably 3 bounce backs of people that aren't there, but a couple people got a hold of me right away. Within 2 days, we met down there with the police chief, with Sergeant Fath, and really had a good discussion. There were, it started off kind of awkward because there were a lot of excuses, and it's like, wait a minute, we've abated your taxes so that this wouldn't happen, But after I think we worked it through on both sides, they brought in a new manager who I had met with actually a senior manager in the corporate asset manager, and met with her in July. And, according to her, she realized right away that the management company they hired was bad, and there was just rampant with problems. The only problem is that their contract went through November went through January, had to give them notice in November, got them out in January, and there were just a lot of balls that dropped, and they admitted it, from the grass cutting to the landscaping to many, many things. But by the end of the meeting, it was very good. They were looking into possibly contracting with the sheriff's department for weekends when they're having their problems. We've had an increase in runs. Very receptive to a lot of the things that the police had talked about, limiting parking and different things. So afterwards, it went well. But so hopefully we start seeing some results. Even when we were down there, they had hired a new property maintenance manager, a nice guy. He came in. So we'll keep our fingers crossed, but we'll keep on it. Our plan is to meet monthly at a minimum with the police and them, and just go over just different things that are going on. So anyway, so thanks for reminding me, but that was a meeting that we did have since our last meeting.
That's good to hear, Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything was so optimistic when they first
Yeah.
moved in.
And it really started off really well, and then it's just really fallen off, so.
I have a question, old business to what is the name of it, Take a Shot?
Yeah?
The bar. Are they open?
I don't know.
Since that fight and the windows got broke up, I have no
Right.
idea.
They're allowed to be open. Whether they're open or not, I don't know. We haven't had many issues down there, so my inclination is they may not be, but they would be closed on their own, because right now we aren't in a position to
Okay.
close them down, but we're working on it.
Okay, that was it, thank you. Any other old business, council? New business. Mr. Coker, you had some things you wanted to bring up.
Yes, thanks. So I sent out an email last week after a discussion with input from the department heads, we're in that transition because our current law director is retiring on the 30th, and then our new law director's coming in, and they both gave good guidance on some things, and just trying to figure out how we continue to move forward with opening up. I mean, we are opening up. We are opened up. Pretty much back to normal. We do have some employees that are high risk we're still having them work from home, but the office is open down there, just limiting traffic through and so forth. But we're still struggling with the public meetings, and kind of the conclusion came, and I'll just kind of go through these, and we can agree, disagree, discuss, however you guys want to do it. But and as I mentioned earlier, the plan was, and recommendation from the law director, since we had the streaming set up. Have you ever seen the YouTube live stream on this? I know you have, because you've asked a question before, right? But we can help with that too if this does. It's live right now. You can comment, you can ask questions. It's not as good as being here, but that's something that we do have in place if we do follow kind of some of the directions that have been given us. So the recommendation from them was to just continue with the path. And I will also say, too, that I know it was a little bit confusing, and this is our first pandemic, hopefully our last, of how we had to handle the public hearing on the tax budget, and we had to advertise for it, and I think some language in there might indicate that we might have been here, so I get it, it's confusing, and so, but we've met all the requirements on that, but the recommendation from our both incoming law directors is just to continue, and since we only have 2 more meetings in August, 1 in July and 1 in August, unless we have a special meeting, just to continue to live stream. But I think we should personally just continue to live stream going forward. I mean, I think it's good, and if people can't come here, then it's just another way for them to do it. I think for me, the only other question is, do we do it for both meetings? Because, you could run into a situation where we've just chosen to televise our second meeting, right? You could run into a situation where you pass legislation on the first meeting just because it had to be passed, right? But it could create some controversy. So I think we need to think about that. We don't have to decide tonight. I've asked the ICRC if they are even capable of doing that. I know they do in other communities, but it's staffing for them, it's equipment and so forth. So they're even going to get back to me. So I think we need to have, some direction by at least August on, how we want to move forward. I mean, I think it's great that they're live streaming these on the second meeting. I think we should continue that for forever, because it gives people that can't get here an opportunity. It's just whether we want to televise both meetings. So that's just something we need to think about. So the plan is for right now is just to go back in July and August and live stream, not open to the public, and then open back up in September, because that's what we're also gearing the first BZA, Board of Zoning Appeals, and we don't have anything request for Planning Commission, but if there is, to start those back up in September, assuming things continue to kind of flatten as they have been. So does anybody have any strong feelings or concerns or thoughts on that?
That's fine.
I'm personally fine with it.
Yep.
Okay.
Fine.
Sounds
Get
good.
back into things slowly, and I like the idea of, if Time Warner can, or not Time Warner, but
Cincinnati Bell now. We got rid of Time Warner. They're gonna be mad.
Whatever.
if they can do it,
ICRC is the one that does the
the
live
ICRC,
stream
if
for
they
us.
can do that, makes no difference whether we televise a second meeting.
Well, I guess my point is that if we're going to live stream, then they have to televise both meetings. Right now,
Yes.
we don't televise the first
Right.
one. So if they can do it, that's what I think we need to decide. I think at the time, we just decided that, that we only wanted to televise the one. So that's how they're set up right now. So it may even take a little bit of time for them to transition that too. So anyway, we'll get more clarity on that as we go forward. Our plan now is to start back with community room rental. Right now, we're not doing any community room rental with half. Just tell people that they can only have 40 people in there, sign a waiver. But honestly, kind of our approach on a lot of this stuff has been, people have to self-regulate as well, right? I mean, we're not going to have people staffed over there counting the number of people. We tell them you can only have 40, you can only have 40, and then start the rentals up. The new law director is working on a waiver for them to sign, and then just move forward with that. And at the same time, we are looking to start having the bands on July 12th. That's the scheduled one, and there's a couple asterisks to that, assuming we can get the bands if they still want to play. According to Ray, it's kind of a mixed bag. But again, I think that, rely on the folks to these types of things don't draw huge crowds. So it should be something that we could be able to handle. And then we'll just have to monitor. If it becomes a problem, we can't. But I think the idea has been trying to, as we come out of this, to have some things for folks to do. So, yes.
I saw this on the news where we have that big grassy area. They had taken yellow paint and drew circles, which is just going to grow. You can cut it 6 feet apart, so little groups
Yep.
know where the 6 feet are apart in that big grassy area.
Right. Yep. No, I've seen all different approaches to that. So, so again, that's the plan. The big one and the last one is the 3rd of July that we've struggled with. I had a conversation with our fireworks provider saying, give us to tomorrow, because we wanted to discuss it again at our council meeting and get final input from council. And I will say that this probably had the most varying opinions from the groups, from both law directors and so forth. But I think the general consensus is from the administration that we either ought to just postpone it to next year, or postpone it to maybe look at Labor Day, maybe the end of the summer thing. I know Labor Day, we don't want to compete with EVN, but maybe that Friday or something, but then you start to run into football, if that's going on, and those different things. So I think that's at least our recommendation. I mean, if council feels strongly, I mean, the police chief had really concerns, probably being the only game in town, or there's, I think, maybe one or two other places that are even talking about it. You could be overrun. There was recommendations of having people in their cars. I mean, it's just, why do that, So, we're trying to offset this a little bit by trying to get some smaller things going on in the park. But the 3rd of July is by far our largest draw. And it just I think makes sense to either let Labor Day, or just, we've paid a deposit and we could just maybe have a nicer display next year. We haven't paid the second piece of it. Hold on, let them keep the first part, and we'll just have a larger display for next year. So I don't know of anybody's thoughts.
Well, Labor Day too, we could have another surge once everything's open, so that's kind of up in the air. We won't know until it gets closer to that time.
Correct.
What's everybody's opinion?
I'm fine with turning it over till next year, because I'm just afraid of trying to keep control of all the people, and they might have an extra amount. And standing outside, that would create problems on the streets, and,
Right. One of the recommendations was to block the park off, but then what you're going to do is just have people around the park, and then that gets even more difficult. And our police big focus is just keeping people away from the where they light it off. So it just brings up a lot of challenges.
The social distancing thing would be impossible.
It would be,
Yeah.
So
because how can we monitor?
you stand in lines to get hamburgers and hot dogs and brats, and
Yeah.
you're just packed. So
Yep.
I would recommend just put it off till next year.
I agree.
Is that the consensus?
Next year, July 3rd is on a Saturday. It might not be bad holding it off and having a real nice show
Yeah.
since it's on a Saturday.
And we've added some things, started a little earlier.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, we'll let them know.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
How many years we've been doing that?
What's that?
How many years?
It's since 175th, so
That's
it's
what I
been
thought, it was been a long time.
What, 27 years? 28? Yeah, 27, 28 years, yeah, wow. Okay. I think that's all I have.
Okay, does anybody else have any new business?
Oh, Ray's on it, man. He's watching me. It's actually July 10th. I'm sorry, is the first concert. That makes sense because July 3rd is on a Friday. So it's actually we're looking at.
12th
I
is
don't
a
know why I
Sunday.
keep saying July 12th. Something must be going on that day in my mind. I'm not sure. So the first concert we're looking at is for July 10th.
Does he have somebody in line?
I believe so. Yeah.
Did he say who?
I think you're gonna have the same issues as you would with the.
While he's
with the
asking him
fireworks.
that, I did want to add that we are going to do the movies in the park again. We typically don't start those until mid-July anyway, so that it's dark earlier. The most I've had at one of those was 40 people. 40 people we can distance pretty well at picnic tables with families, and typically it works that way anyway. People sit with their families. So we are going to start those up again. Usually I have the movies picked and everything announced in March or April, but haven't done that yet, but we'll get that going.
And Angie Bentner, her vote is to live stream both meetings. So we're getting good feedback here. If Ray gets back to me before we close, I'll let you know.
Okay. Any other new business, council, while we're waiting?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Ms. Lingo has made a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. George has seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Ray has a book that he doesn't have it in front of him, so he doesn't know who it
No.
is. So are you familiar with the YouTube live?